Barking dogs have been cashing at a great rate in the NFL. It is week 3, and we know what that means. Chaos week is upon us. We're going to go over those primetime games. We're going to see if the deli's back open with Marco. We know we're going to get all of that Steam action from VR. And of course, best bets up next on Bet On It. VR, you guys know him as the Greek Gambler, and Marco in Vegas, Marco D'Angelo. Everybody here is from WagerTalk.com. If you guys are new, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel because we've got a great show for you today. Starting off tomorrow night, Marco, Thursday Night Football, Miami, almost a 2-touchdown underdog at their divisional rival Buffalo, total 49.5.
Well, Kelly, at first glance, you look at this game and there's just, you're going to run to the window and you're going to like Buffalo and you're going to like over because Miami looks like a team in total disarray. Remember, after week 1, they had a players only meeting after 1 week. Well, that players only meeting wasn't very productive because they went out and lost last week at home to the New England Patriots. Not only did they lose to the Patriots, for the second week in a row, they've given up 33 points, okay? When you faced Indianapolis, who's playing well after the first 2 weeks, and New England, but you give up 33 to both of those two teams, things aren't looking too good. And now in comes Buffalo. Based off of that, you might think that Buffalo could hit this total on their own with their offense. But here's the thing. It's a Thursday night game. It's a division game. Short week. It's an opponent. Both teams know each other, so you know how to prepare for them. And these teams have more – these type of games have more of a tendency to go under the total than over the total. And what I'm looking at here, the only shot that Miami has in this game is they got to shorten the game. This offense is not going to trade points with Buffalo. If you're going to try that type of game plan, Coach McDaniel, you might as well – just, start sending out your resumes because you're going to be fired sooner than later. And the joke is which Florida coach is going to get fired first. Is it going to be the Gators coach, Billy Napier, or is it going to be the Dolphins coach? Might put my money on the Dolphins coach. And I'm looking at this one. I think you're going to see them try to shorten the game with the running game. I think you can actually run the football against Buffalo, attack them up the middle, and try to shorten the game. And let's be honest, with Buffalo, it's a short week for them. Josh Allen left the game for a couple plays last week, but being Josh Allen, he came back into the game, being the warrior that he is. Short week, you know what? Those bumps and bruises, they take their toll. If you're Buffalo, you want to get in and get out as well. I think you're going to see a lower scoring game. I think Buffalo gets the lead. I think they try to milk the clock themselves. And I'm going under the total of 49.5. We usually tell you here on the show, get down now. This line's going to move. I'm going to tell you, wait till closer to game time to bet this total since we're betting the under. And why? Because the public hasn't gotten involved yet. And I can tell you, the public, after looking at what Miami's done the first 2 weeks and looking at what Buffalo's done the first 2 weeks, they ain't running to the window to bet the under. They're going to be betting the over, and you might get a little extra value closer to game time.
Also, keep an eye because some of those primetime unders have been cashing. We saw 2 more there on Monday Night Football. Sunday Night Football, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs traveling at the New York Giants, total 43.5. And I think there's a lot to unpack here. There's some situations to look at, of course. Kansas City off a loss has been a really strong bounce back angle. 5-0 straight up, 4-0-1 against the spread the last 5. But we're going to look at a different angle. We're going to look at how good that Kansas City defense has been. They just held Philadelphia to 279 yards. Well, what did we just see last week from the Giants? Oh, that's right. We just saw Russell Wilson's best game ever just get obliterated and completely wiped out by a game-losing interception. Thank you, Russell. My Survivor team thanks you. Needed that one big time. But this is why this is such an interesting game. New York has been just rough lately at home. 1-7 straight up, 2-6 against the spread. I like this game under the total. Keep in mind, I agree with Marco. I think a lot of people are going to immediately dog reaction bet the over here. It's the Kansas City Chiefs. We just saw 450 yards and 3 touchdowns from Russell. Yeah, I get it. Thank you for showing us your latest Jameis Winston impression. But I like the under. I think this one is just a touch too high with both of these teams. When played in the first 3 weeks of the regular season, games involving home dogs, 56, 30-1. That's 65% to the under. So give me the under. That is from our friends at the Gold Sheet, by the way. Give me the under in Sunday Night Football, under 43.5. VR, let's move on to Monday Night Football, where I think maybe we have a barking dog situation. Detroit plus 5.5 at Baltimore. Total 51.5.
Yeah, and this line continues to drop, but it opened as high as 6.5, got bet down to 6, 5.5. I've even seen 4.5s out there this morning, like you touched on. So definitely sharp money on the Detroit side, and it makes sense. Where usually I'd look to fade a team like this. You're scoring 50 points in the NFL and covering a point spread, you're usually going to come in overvalued the following week. But fortunately for them, they're playing a Baltimore team that's coming off back-to-back weeks where they put up 40 plus. And if not for the improbable, they'd be 2-0 right now and maybe even a bigger favorite, which is where it opened, so it made sense because, again, that was that coin flip game against Buffalo that they were so heavily favored to win with minutes remaining. With that said, I still have Baltimore as the highest power rated team in the NFL. I repeat, right now, power rating wise, Baltimore's at the top. But fortunately, Detroit's right there. They're a top 5 team. Most, I think, won't look at it that way. They see a 1-1 Baltimore team, you see a 1-1 Detroit team, and both are in the top 5. Again, we're talking power rating here. And I just think it's a little bit too high when you look at how Detroit is coming off of that good game last week. Like, listen, their first week of the season, there was a lot of Green Bay love. It kind of made sense. New offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. But we saw from Detroit last week, they're just as loaded as they come offensively and defensively. And they're going up against a Baltimore team where on the offensive side of the ball, they pretty much were perfect last week. It's hard to repeat that kind of performance. But it's on the defensive side of the ball that we really get the advantages for Detroit because Baltimore is banged up. They brought in Alexander and Awuzie in the secondary to try to, bolster it a little bit. But still, they got a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. And against an offense like Detroit, that's going to be problems. I also think the total's a little bit too high. It's continuing to climb. That's why I haven't pounced on the under yet. But I just think once you get over that 53 and up range, it's got to be almost a perfect game. Like any stoppages or long drives makes it very difficult. So I lean under, but we're going to go with Detroit plus the 4.5 or 5. Shop for the best number because there's definitely 5s available and sprinkle that money line. Detroit may come out 2-1 after this game.
All right. I lean to that side, VR. So I'm happy to hear you agree. We're going to get right into the Steam report up next. Make sure you guys have your Odds Logic screens open. Odds Logic /ACE gets you a free week of service. So pen and paper ready because it goes quick. VR, I'm going to throw a little curveball though. Please. This week we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teaser spots. And I know you usually go over this with Ariel on Sundays with Last Call. By the way, VR will be joining me this Sunday on Last Call while Ariel celebrates her birthday. But I want to kind of talk about what we should be looking for and why you think people should be waiting until Sunday to bet some of these teasers.
Yeah, and it sounds counterproductive because, again, when you're trying to beat the sports betting market, you want to get out ahead of it. You want closing line value. We know historically, if you can do that over and over, you're a mathematical certainty to turn a profit. So why wait on teasers? Well, the reason for that is because I want the market to be as efficient as possible. When it's efficient, that means the higher probability that the game's going to land near the point spread. That's how you cash a teaser. So for me, I like to wait till later, let the market kind of figure itself out. Let all the sharp money get in there. Let the books put out that closing number that they think is unbeatable, more or less, at 11-10. And then that's when I want to get involved. And I just want to look to tease those numbers. The team to me becomes irrelevant. In fact, last week we cashed the teaser and I was opposite a team that I like because the number made sense. It didn't matter about the handicap. We're not handicapping the matchup. We're handicapping the number. And what we're doing is looking for games that allow us to go through 3, 6, and 7. That's it. So we're looking to tease dogs up to 7.5, 8, or 8.5, and we're looking to tease favorites down to -1.5, 2, or 2.5. It really is that simple. You want to improve your results. Look for lower totals. Because again, the lower the total, the less points expected. Less points expected, more each point's worth. And that's when your teaser becomes most advantageous. So you want to look at those matchups where the total is lower. And more importantly, even if it's a higher total, you want to look at the line movement towards the under. You don't want games that are being steamed over, high totals that are getting steamed over. That's why we don't tease college football. Too much variance in scoring. So if you stick to those few rules and don't lay more than -125, you'll make some money betting teasers this year. If you're laying 130s, 135s, don't do it. You're taking the worst of it. It's negative EV, and you're better off just laying 11-10 and straight betting it. You're not getting any added value by using the teaser.
I asked that question because last week it came from the comments section. So guys, jump in the comments, ask some questions, and we'll get them answered. Love you guys for hitting that like button and always hitting subscribe, because that's how we keep things going here at WagerTalk, so we can provide you all of the free information. Yes, we are #1 in the world for that. VR, speaking of information, I hear that Steam was still going, and that means we got this week's Steam report.
Indeed. And again, narrowing down the ones that I feel very confident are legit. We won't get no manipulation or middle attempts. So far, so good. NFL starting off good. College football has started off good. If you like money, you know what to do. Start off with 451, Indianapolis. The look ahead was -2. Then they brought out the 3. That got hit up to -120. Pay attention to the look aheads. The limits are low. Okay, so when you look at your odds logic screen, or at the very least your WagerTalk free on screen, you're going to see some big movements, but you want to see when that initial move happened, because a lot of time it's a jump from the look ahead line to where they open it for the new week. And then it's what it does after that that truly matters. Go to 453 Atlanta. The look ahead was -2.5 and 3. And then they put out the 4.5, and that got hit until you saw a little take back on Carolina at +6. So you have Atlanta -3 and 4.5, and Carolina +6. 455 Las Vegas, look ahead at +6.5 and +6. They brought out the 5.5. That got hit as well, and under 47.5. When they hit the look ahead at under 47.5, books went immediately to 44.5. So it looks like a big 3-point movement, but it took maybe 1 or 2 limit bets max to move 3 straight points. So it wasn't like it's a huge move where a bunch of steam from multiple groups are banging that under. That's not what happened there. 460, Cincinnati and Minnesota. Look ahead, under 47 and 46.5. And then they brought out 43, and that got steamed under again, and 42.5. Those are the ones you want to pay a lot of attention to. The ones that get follow through, like we saw in baseball with the overnights and then the next day. 473, Dallas, Chicago, over 46 to 48.5. That was the look ahead. They brought out the 49, that got hit. They hit the 49.5, and then they hit the 50 as well. True steam over Dallas, Chicago. Finally, Detroit, which we touched on Sunday Night Football. They took the 6.5 and 6 on the look ahead, then took the 5.5 as well once the confirmation on the injured side, defensive side of the ball for the Baltimore Ravens. So that's what we're looking at this early in the week for NFL. Again, the steam rooms leading into kickoff on Sunday. So we'll get a lot of good late information as well. Join us each and every week for that. WagerTalk.com. Thank you.
All right, guys. I have sad news because our barking dogs would have swept last week, but I gave out the Jacksonville Jaguars, so that was a little painful. Just going to throw that out there. But this week, we're going to go even more painful, Marco, because my dog is just absolutely and utterly repulsive. Yours is a little bit more palatable. Well, not by much, but tell me why you think Carolina has a shot to beat Atlanta this week.
Well, Carolina was a client play for me last week, and I'll take that backdoor cover, and I'm going to come right back with Carolina again. And this is more as much as going against Atlanta as it is going with Carolina. Atlanta's in a horrible scheduling spot, in my opinion. They're on the road for the second week in a row, and they're coming off a very satisfying win on Sunday Night Football against Minnesota. Now, granted, you could look at that game two ways and say, did Atlanta look good or did Minnesota just look god-awful? Well, I'm not going to debate either side because both are valid points. But you've got a young quarterback in Michael Penix Jr., got to win in prime time. And now he's going from a road underdog to a road favorite, and a sizable one at that. This is a young team with a second-year quarterback. And when I say a second-year quarterback, he didn't start all last year. He got some starts at the end of the season. So here's a quarterback that's only got a handful of starts in the National Football League, and now you're asking him to not only win on the road, but win by a margin. We're looking at a point spread of 6 here. This is a division game. So, yeah, Atlanta shouldn't really look past Carolina, but Carolina hasn't done anything yet. And this is their home opener. So, you're going to get, a crowd with some excitement. Your first home game. I think they're divisional home dog, all those angles that we like to look for. And then I do look at the performance that Michael Penix had last week. He was 13 of 21. Okay, it's a good percentage, but it was only for 108 yards. It was a lot of dinking and dunking. I'm not sold on Atlanta yet. This is a team that I still have question marks about their defense. And I go back to my first statement. Was it Atlanta looking good or Minnesota just horrible? J.J. McCarthy looked bad, then got hurt. This is just a bad performance, and I just don't agree with the move that we've seen in this game. I'm going to take the value with Carolina. I think this one goes right down to the wire. Call it Carolina 24-23. Give me the points. And Carolina is my barking dog.
All right, VR, a game that I have on my teaser list because I'm too big of a wuss to take them outright, but you're going to take them outright. And it's funny because I was going to make a comment about having such a small dog, but VR has been giving out double-digit wins on the college football show, so I'm going to let it slide.
Yeah, and I can't hit a money line. I'm 2-0 on NFL dogs, but I can't get the money line. So I think this one, unless it's a 1-point win, hopefully we get there with the Denver Broncos. And I'm fading my LA Chargers. That's my future. The Chargers are my team in 2025. So, again, I can't be biased because I just got to go week by week. And right now, I just think this sets up nicely for the Denver Broncos, who are finally in the dog role. This is a team that was favored in both of their games. They had that really tough loss against Indianapolis, or they'd be sitting at 2-0 as well. And who knows what this line would be then. I mean, that was, one of those bad beats for the Denver Broncos. But here's the bottom line. I think they have the defense to not allow Justin Herbert to have that big explosive plays, those damaging bombs where they're stretching the field on Denver. As long as they're forcing the Chargers to drive down the football field and take some time off the clock, Denver's going to be just fine. Because I think on the offensive side of the ball, that's what they're going to do. Denver's going to look to control the clock, control the tempo, and keep Justin Herbert on the sidelines. And I think Denver's set up nicely defensively to do that. Don't look at last week's game with the Colts, the way it got out. Just became one of those ugly games. And again, they've gotten even a little bit unlucky. You've seen the Chargers gotten lucky. Not only have they been getting turnovers, but they've been able to maximize on those turnovers. Or with the Denver, they've been a little bit unlucky. Even when they've gotten the turnovers, they haven't been able to do much with it. And again, the red zone efficiency for Denver's there, which I like. If they could keep the Chargers to field goals instead of touchdowns on some of those drives, they'll stay in the game. The key is stay in the game with a chance to win it late. And I think Denver can do that. Again, they have the kind of defense And I think offensively, they're balanced enough to sustain some drives and keep that Charger offense on the sidelines. Again, Chargers are starting to become that sexy team, which I don't like after beating, the Chiefs on that primetime season opener. And they got it done again last week, obviously, against the Raiders on Monday night. So primetime and primetime, recency bias, if we've ever seen it, it's going to be on the Chargers. Again, they win on Monday Night Football as 3-point dogs. They cover against the Raiders as 3.5-point favorites. Now at home, give me the Broncos. Sprinkle and make sure you pay attention to that line on Sunday, because if it is at that 2.5, we definitely want to use it on a teaser. At 3, obviously we can't use it. But at 2.5, even with the over being steamed from 43.5 to 45.5, I would still look to tease the Denver Broncos up to 8.5 if you can get 2.5 on Sunday.
All right, that will be on my teaser list. Well, who am I kidding? It's already there. All right, guys, a tweet that I saw go, I would call it semi-viral, at least in the sports betting world, was NFL favorites of 4.5 points are 12-0 straight up this season, dating back to week 11 of last year, 52-8 straight up. That is almost 87%. The NFL favorites have been crushing. So I could see why you guys are going to think I'm crazy for giving out this play. But VR just mentioned teams that are starting to get real sexy. And none other than the Green Bay Packers look the sexiest, in my opinion. Everybody's ready to say, okay, here's this team. Give them the representation out of the NFC. But I think everybody needs to pump the brakes. This is still the youngest team in the NFL. This is still a Green Bay team who's missing 2 offensive linemen. And remember, Micah Parsons still not playing full-time snaps there on defense. I know the Cleveland Browns looked awful last week versus the Ravens. But if you just are looking at the box score and not the game, I think you're kind of missing it. I know it's tough to stomach the Browns here in this spot. But big home underdogs in the first 3 weeks of the season, that means you're getting at least 6 points or more, 18-1-2 against the spread over the last 3 seasons. I'm just going to say it. I was talking to my boyfriend last night, who is a Green Bay Packers fan. And yeah, I got a Denver Broncos helmet behind me, but I have watched more Green Bay Packers games in the last decade than I care to admit. He said, this is a game where Green Bay will find a way to lose it. And I looked at it and I said, God, it looks so easy to tease Green Bay. And then I looked at a scheduling spot. Oh, that's right. They play the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. Not that they have some big time rivalry, but on a short week, just got to go into Cleveland and get the win, right? Looks a little fishy. I know it's gross. It's ugly, but at least take the points here with the Cleveland Browns. Be careful in those teasers. And if you're feeling feisty, like me, you can sprinkle just a little bit on that money line. All right, Marco D'Angelo. The Deli has been absolutely crushing. If you guys have been missing his college football Deli games, you guys can head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and check out that one as well. Marco, you also do a standalone Deli video.
Yum.
Yeah, Kelly, we do it every week, and we're off to a great start. We started this last year, season 2, and the response has been great. So, hey, Bet on It Nation, head on over. We put it out on Thursday night. You get more sandwich spots, more trap games. 7-3 so far for the 2 episodes. I'll take 70% all year, and it's free. And you get to look at me with that goofy hat in the Deli. So what could be better? Now, with the Deli this week, we're going to go to a team, and you know what? You look at this game, and you look at the knee-jerk reaction. You got Chicago, and you got Dallas. Now, I know Kelly, you were sweating. What was the over-under on the number of F-bombs that you dropped during that Dallas Giants game last week? It had to be high, and I know you went over the total with that one. But people look at it. Dallas went up and down the field. That's what we know is going to happen with this Dallas offense when they are healthy. But we also saw what we knew was going to happen as well. They're not going to be able to stop teams. Russell Wilson had a career game against this Dallas Cowboy defense. And Russell Wilson's been in the league a long time. And most people, the consensus is that he's pretty much washed up. He threw for over 400 yards against this defense last week. Chicago's got more weapons. Yeah, I know Caleb Williams has not looked good so far, but I think he gets healthy this week against this defense. I'm going to go ahead and take the Chicago Bears to get right. And let's be honest, that score last week is a little bit misleading because Detroit put up 52 points on them. That was a message. Dan Campbell took it personal after week 1 when he got just dominated by the Packers. Man, everybody, all the pundits, the narrative out there was, oh, the Lions are not the same team. Ben Johnson's gone. He was the mastermind of that offense. Well, he was still throwing the football in the fourth quarter against his former offensive coordinator last week and put up 52 points. I don't think Dallas is going to have that kind of success this week against the Bears. And talk about sandwich spots. Chicago, or we've got Dallas coming off that game last week, and they've got a big game going next week. This is a spot where I'm going to go ahead and take Chicago. Campbell, like I said last week, ran up the offense on them, makes them look worse than they are. To me, this line should be higher, but because of one team winning in a high-scoring game and the other team giving up 52 points, the market is shaded towards the Cowboys, and it's giving us value. Give me Chicago this week as the Bears and Caleb Williams get into the win column for the first time. Give me the Bears.
Oh, that one is a perplexing line, to say the least, Marco. I saw so many tweets going, wait, what? Well, now we might know why the Bears were marched out as favorites. Speaking of favorites, we have our favorite bets coming up right up. How about now? VR, before you give out your best bet for this week in the NFL, please let everybody know what you've got going on over at WagerTalk.com.
Oh, yeah. Right now, I have my college football package up for Saturday. Number 1 in college football in 2025. We've won every single week. I know I lost my 5% last week, but not much difference between our 4s and 5s. Again, bottom line, that package is up. And then Sunday, my NFL package is going up today with a 5%. First 5% of the 2025 NFL season. Currently number 1 in NFL for the regular season as well. So combined NFL and college football, it's been that kind of season. If you like money, you know what to do. Just going to continue to crush it. And I got a best bet for you. I absolutely love the New England Patriots this week over the Steelers. I want to hear Marco's opinion on that. Hopefully he could confirm it for me. Bottom line is this Pittsburgh defense is just too easy to score on. The fact that Justin Fields and Sam Darnold were able to destroy this defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers to where they're right now going into this week, they're 26th in success rate allowed and 28th in passing success rate allowed. There's no higher correlation as far as a stat goes than passing success rate to covering point spreads in the NFL. And you're looking at one of the worst teams at that in the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you're going to have a New England offense that has success and a New England team that's in dire need of winning at home. They only won 2 home games last year. They won 1 home game the year before that. There's a lot of pressure on them to win football games at home. And in come the Pittsburgh Steelers that are definitely a beatable team. Rodgers looked great in week 1, but in week 2, not so much. And if this is a team that is forced to be one-dimensional to where Rodgers has to get it done, at that age, if you could bring pressure, they're going to have a problem. And if there's one thing New England edge rushers can do is give pressure, bring pressure. And I think they're going to create problems for that offensive line of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you add to that the injuries that the Steelers are already dealing with on the defensive side of the football. I love New England in this spot. Wrong team was favored. Obviously, now it's a 1 point. Don't really matter. But I really think New England should be, about 1.5, 2 point favorite in this game. Wouldn't be a surprise if I would have seen it bet up to 3. So give me the Patriots, best bet for this week, and see if we could improve on our 4-2 in the NFL.
Yeah, I like the Patriots this week as well. But again, I'm probably going to wuss out and put them in a teaser. Barko, that is the name of the NFL season for me has been the teasers. You, on the other hand, have been crushing some of these small favorites. Before you get into your best bet for this week, can you tell everybody what is going on this weekend at WagerTalk.com?
Well, we're rolling it back, Kelly. Weekend Warrior was such a success last week. We're bringing it back this week, $49. You can get your favorite handicapper Saturday and Sunday, all of their football selections. And then if they have a Monday night selection, you'll get that as a free bonus as well, all for $49. Last week, I went 3-1 in college football, 2-0 with our top plays. We had 4% and a 5% play last Saturday. The 5% play was North Texas. They were -6. They win 59-10. Love those rocking chair winners. That was fun last week, and that brings my record on 5% plays to 32-13, going back to February of 2024. Long period there. I don't release a ton of these 5% plays. When we do, we win them. We're going to have another one this week. Get the Weekend Warrior. You won't miss out. Now, for this week, Kelly, for my best bet, we are looking at the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to be playing the Cincinnati Bengals, and we've got a unique situation here. We've got two backup quarterbacks taking over. Cincinnati lost Joe Burrow last week to injury. He's going to be out at least 3 months. And the Minnesota Vikings lost J.J. McCarthy to injury. Now, I'm going to point out the obvious. You're losing J.J. McCarthy, who is an unproven commodity and hasn't looked good so far in his 2 starts, against losing an MVP candidate in Joe Burrow. Cincinnati definitely got the worst of the injuries between the 2 quarterbacks. And let's be honest, this might actually be a blessing for Minnesota. Remember last year when McCarthy got hurt in preseason, they handed the reins over to Sam Darnold. What'd Sam Darnold do in this Minnesota Viking offense? He only proceeded to have the best year of his career. In comes Carson Wentz. I've never been a big fan of Carson Wentz ever since he, had that rookie season and then got hurt, missed the playoffs. Nick Foles took over in Philadelphia. He's bounced around the league, but he is a veteran quarterback that has starts under his belt. And I'm going to trust the process and trust the coaching here with Minnesota and think that it's going to be plug and play with the quarterback. But where there is a big difference in these 2 teams, that's on the defensive side of the football. Minnesota is an elite defense. Cincinnati is not. I'm going to go ahead and play the injured player card. We could go either way with that injured player card, but I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings and Carson Wentz. Difference being, as I said, the defense. Let's go ahead, lay the 3. And this is one of those ones where I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lay the 3 now. I'm not going to wait because we could see this one pop to 3.5 come Sunday. Get it now at the 3.
Woo! Just trying to gather my strength here to talk about this game, because it is not a game that I wanted to talk about, but it was a game that I wanted to use in Survivor. And so I had to do a deep dive. So I called our friends over at the Gold Sheet and I said, all right, guys, why should I not take Seattle against this horrible New Orleans team? New Orleans had opportunities to not only cover, but win their last 2 games, yet fell short. Spencer Rattler, 0-8 as a starter. Seahawks, this is the best week to take them. But is it? After falling to the 49ers in week 1, the Seahawks are just 13-22 against the spread here at home. They look very easy, similar to the Packers this week, to just put them in a teaser spot, right? Ugh. Let's just be honest here. This one is a little misleading. I know taking the Seattle Seahawks here at home seems like the right thing to do, but Saints quarterback Spencer Rattler has been making improvements week by week. Again, could have beaten Seattle last week. 4 of his final 10 passes were dropped. He's like the Avery Johnson of the NFL. Since he's been a starting quarterback, he has the second highest drop rate of all eligible quarterbacks. I'm not sure the Saints are as bad as the final scores indicate or the box scores indicate. And truth be told, I didn't watch either of those games. I wanted to save Seattle for this spot. I don't know if I can do it, guys. I think I got to take the 7.5 here with New Orleans. And just a little word of the wise, be careful if you are using them in your survivor pools this week. They will be the most popular pick. All right, let's bring it back in, the guys. Let's try to have a winning week. Oh, wait, that's for me. I hope you guys have another winning week. And we're going to get back on track here over in the driver's seat. Good luck to everybody. Let's put up that recap graphic, and I'll be sure to check the comment sections. Love something, hate something. You guys let us know. You have a question for Marco or VR, and we will get it answered. All right, guys, and if you missed the college football edition of Bet On It, it is right here. And, of course, we'll have that mega show up. We'll have the deli. We'll have Ralph with TNA. We'll have Teddy with Stockwatch. And, of course, the college football and NFL editions of Bet On It. Until next week, let's bet on it.